Hello everyone, welcome back to News of Asha. Today is August 12th, 2023. Let's see what's happening in the world today. Rohingya, at least 23 dead, 30 missing after boat sinks. The bodies of 23 Rohingyas who were fleeing Myanmar Rakhine state have been recovered after their boat sank. 30 others are still missing, while 8 people are reported to have survived the accident. The survivors said they were trying to reach Malaysia when their boat carrying more than 50 passengers foundered and was abandoned by its crew on Sunday. Every year, thousands of Rohingyas attempt a perilous journey to Malaysia or Indonesia. The Muslim Rohingyas are an ethnic minority in the predominantly Buddhist Myanmar. Many of them fled to Bangladesh in 2017 to escape a campaign of what the UN has described as a possible genocide launched by the Burmese military. Those remaining in Myanmar too have been trying to flee since the military coup in 2021. They are willing to take risks and often sell their only assets, such as land, to fund the trip. Because of the unrelentingly grim conditions in which they are forced to live, either as refugees in appallingly crowded camps over the border in Bangladesh or subjected to discrimination and restrictions on their movement in Myanmar. This state of affairs has been going on for quite a while. Being someone who lives in Malaysia, we as a country has also been trying to help the Rohingyas, but unfortunately they are not getting the help and support by the international community as they require, while their society is being genocided. Haiti, US nurse Alex Dorsainville and child freed by kidnappers charity says. An American nurse and her child kidnapped in Haiti nearly 2 weeks ago have been freed, according to the Christian charity she worked for. Elroy Haiti confirmed the safe release of our staff member and friend Alex Dorsainville and her young daughter, who has not been named. Armed gangs have carved up the capital city, kidnapping and killing at will. Hours after the kidnapping, the US State Department ordered non-emergency government personnel and the family members of embassy officials to leave Haiti. The poorest country in Americas has been in political crisis since the assassination of President Jovenel Moise in 2021. Gangs control around 80% of the capital, and violent crimes such as kidnapping and armed robbery are common. From January to June this year, there have been 1,014 kidnappings in Haiti, according to the UN. Emergency declared in parts of Russia's Far East in typhoon aftermath. A state of emergency was declared in 9 municipalities in Russian Far East on Saturday after heavy downpours flooded villages in the aftermath of Typhoon Kanun that pummeled Japan earlier this week, Russian agencies reported. After lashing southern Japan, Kanun weakened into a tropical depression as it crossed into North Korea on Friday from South Korea. In Russian Far East, a region in the easternmost part of Russia and the Asian continent, 32 settlements were cut off. 543 residential houses and large swaths of roads were flooded by Saturday morning, Russia's RIA agency reported. RIA also reported that a dam that was built to contain floods was breached in Ussurisk, a city about 100 kilometers north of Vladivostok. This typhoon Kanun seems to be causing a lot of problems and has been passing through Asia for almost a week now. Let's hope it dies out and people can get back to their normal lives. Malaysians vote in state elections, test for Anwar. Kuala Lumpur. Malaysians in 6 states headed to the polls on Saturday in regional elections, seen as a major test of support for Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's 9-month-old administration. Anwar's progressive multi-ethnic alliance Pakatan Harapan currently holds power in 3 of the 6 states, with the rest controlled by Perikatan Nasional, a conservative opposition bloc that is increasingly popular with the country's majority ethnic Malay Muslims. The survey by polling groups Merdeka Centre and Ilham Centre also showed strong concerns among voters over economic issues such as rising prices, slowing growth and a weakening ringgit. Since coming to power, Anwar has focused on introducing economic and institutional reforms, including reducing subsidies for the wealthy, easing listing rules for companies, and abolishing the mandatory death penalty. Since his government has only come into power for 9 months, we'll have to wait and see how well he actually runs the show for the next 3 years. Nikola recalls all battery electric trucks, halts sales after fire probe. Nikola said on Friday it was recalling all battery-powered electric trucks that it has delivered till date and is suspending sales after an investigation into recent fires found a coolant leak inside a battery pack as the cause. Internal investigations from Nikola's safety and engineering team indicate a single supplier component within the battery pack as the likely source of the coolant leak that caused the vehicles to catch fire, the company said. On Friday, Nikola asked customers and dealers of its 3 battery electric trucks to take certain immediate safety measures. including considering parking them outside. Nikola shares fell as much as 5.6% after the close. Nikola has been facing many problems since its inception, and this is just another one of those problems that is now facing the company. But battery packs exploding doesn't seem to be a specific problem to Nikola. It seems to be a specific problem to battery packs in general. Hopefully, we will find better battery technology that doesn't blow up in people's faces. There is a lot of progress in this field of research. Many of these batteries are still in their prototype stage, and it will take time before they become commercially available. Indonesia says pollution spike in Jakarta due to weather vehicles. Jakarta, Indonesia's government on Friday blamed a pollution spike in the traffic clogged capital Jakarta on weather patterns and vehicle emissions after the city topped global rankings 4 days this week. Activists blamed the high levels of toxic smog on clusters of factories and coal-fired power plants near the city, with Greenpeace Indonesia saying there were 10 such power plants within a 100-kilometer radius. But senior environments and forestry official Sigit Riliantaro told reporters on Friday that the high levels of pollution between June and August, when Jakarta ranked as one of the most polluted cities in the world, were due to seasonal wind changes. This week's spikes in PM 2.5 levels were so bad that Jakarta topped Swiss company's IQS live ranking of air pollution in major cities at least once every day from Monday to Thursday. According to government's research, vehicle emissions account for 44% of air pollution, followed by the energy industry with 31% and manufacturing with 10%, Riliantaro said. By the looks of it, manufacturing and vehicle emissions both share a similar percentage in the contribution towards the air pollution. Therefore, maybe both the activists and the government officials are both right. China floods hit rice corn crops, trigger food inflation worries. Beijing. Floods have damaged corn and rice crops in China's key northern grain-producing belt, traders and analysts said, with more rain in forecast as another typhoon approaches, threatening to add to global food inflation pressures. The hit to China's cereal crops, the full extent of which is not yet clear, comes as consumers worldwide face tightening food supplies amid India's ban on rice exports last month and disruption in Black Sea grain shipments caused by the war in Ukraine. Northern China, still grappling with swollen rivers and flood waters caused by Typhoon Doksuri 2 weeks ago, could see further crop damage with Typhoon Kanun. On Thursday, China's northern Hebei province upgraded its emergency response to the highest level after last week's record flooding in preparation for potentially damaging downpours from the new storm. Fitch Ratings on Friday said that heavy rains in China's grain-producing region is likely to put upward pressure on global rice prices. Rice prices have already climbed more than 20% since India announced its ban on exports of non-basmati white rice. Food inflation doesn't seem to be going down, and in my opinion, this is just going to get worse over time. It's time for countries to start rethinking their agricultural prospects with the increase in technology. It's time for us to use technology to start improving our agriculture around the world in almost every country. America's biggest brands rethink price hikes in this inflation era. During the historic run-up in inflation, America's biggest consumer brands justified their pandemic-era price increases by pointing to the ways COVID shocked the economy and the higher cost of doing business. Now that these broad conditions are subsiding, there are signs consumers are less willing to pay up. Kraft Heinz, for instance, grew net sales by 2.6% in second quarter as it raised prices, but volumes dropped 7% year over year. Customers' pain at the register has become a defining feature of the US economy and remains a dominant storyline in Washington and on campaign trails. But as consumers start to expect some relief at the register, brands will face challenges to stay competitive. This is not a problem that is just plaguing the United States. It's a problem that's plaguing every country in the world, where food inflation is starting to ramp up and is starting to hurt the daily user and normal folk that are just struggling to make ends meet. And this is even more so for the younger generation and the youth who are finding it difficult to find jobs and are having one of the highest youth unemployment in history. Hopefully, governments around the world will be more inclined to address this situation as opposed to just focusing on how to buy votes. There is no question the consumer is running out of wallet as seen by increases in credit card balances and troublingly use of buy now pay later for essential goods such as groceries, said Michael Farr, Chief Market Strategist for Hightower Advisors and founder and CEO of Farr Miller & Washington. Yet the propensity to spend as seen in aggregate demand has been resilient. Well, in my opinion, obviously the aggregate demand is going to be resilient if you have services like buy now pay later, but I doubt anyone's going to pay later when the pay later comes, we are going to see how most of these companies are not going to get paid back, and the problem is going to just compound itself far worse than it is right now. Governments not realizing that most people are using credit cards and buy now pay later to supplement their essential goods such as groceries, then they are merely taking a very big risk in thinking that everything is fine and they should just focus on buying votes. Dangerous point for investors. Strategists warn of overconfidence about AI. Market participants are overconfident about their ability to predict the long-term effects of artificial intelligence, according to Mike Cook, Chief Investment Officer at Morningstar Investment Management. Some analysts have suggested that a bubble effect may be forming given the concentration of market gains in a small number of big tech shares. Nvidia stock Thursday traded up 190% so far this year, while Facebook parent Meta has risen more than 154% and Tesla by 99%. Drawing parallels to major technological upheavals that have realigned civilizations, such as electricity, steam, and internal combustion engines, computing, and the internet, Co-op contends that the long-term effects are not predictable. They can take time and the winners can emerge from things that don't exist. Google is an example of that. So we think people have got carried away with that, and what it has meant is that the market in the US is very clustered around a similar theme, he said. He advised investors to look at stocks that are able to insulate portfolios against recession risk and are pricing in bad case scenario, to the point of offering good value along with bonds, which are considerably more attractive than they were 18 months ago. Be cognizant of just how high price is being paid for the promise of what AI may or may not deliver for individual companies, Co-op concluded. We have entered a period in this 21st century that investing is no longer a viable method for you to fight inflation. The best way to fight inflation now in this current era that we are living in is to recognize and understand that central planners and central banks need to be removed, and we need to find or figure out how we can restructure our monetary system so that money itself does not lose value. Right now, the problem that most people are facing is the fact that inflation, which is a different way of saying your money is losing value, is the main problem that most people are facing. Unfortunately, most people don't realize this, and the government has been blindsiding everyone, or should I say the central banks have been blindsiding everyone by printing money and propping up the stock market. By propping up the stock market, there is a unfortunate disillusionment that people think if the stock market is going up, the economy is doing well. And this is 100% not true, as shown by the K-shaped recovery during the COVID lockdowns. When the COVID lockdowns took place, we saw the stock market crash and it immediately had a major V-shaped recovery, whereas the economy was still dead when everything was closed due to lockdowns. And this is a simple way for you to wake up and come to terms to the fact that the stock market is not the economy. FTX Bankman-Fried headed for jail over alleged witness tampering. New York, August 11th. Sam Bankman-Fried is heading to jail after a US judge on Friday revoked his bail, finding probable cause that the indicted founder of the bankrupt FTX cryptocurrency exchange tampered with witnesses at least twice. The decision could complicate Bankman-Fried's effort to prepare for trial. He faces charges of having stolen billions of FTX customer funds to plug losses in his Alameda Research hedge fund, where Ellison was chief executive officer. Bankman-Fried's parents, both law professors at Stanford University, were present in the courtroom audience. His mother, Barbara Fried, nodded to him in tears as he left. His father, Joseph Bankman, placed his hand over his heart as he watched his son being led away. It was not immediately clear where Bankman-Fried would be held. Many defendants awaiting trial in New York City are held at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, which has been plagued by persistent staffing shortages, power outages, and reports of maggots appearing in inmates' foods. Daniel Sessions, a prosecutor with the U.S. Attorney Office in Manhattan, proposed at the hearing that Bankman-Fried instead be held at Putnam Country Correctional Facility, a medium-security jail about 55 miles north of Manhattan, which holds about 68 inmates. Sessions said that the defendant would be able to access an internet-enabled laptop to review evidence to prepare for trial. Thank you for staying to the end of the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments in the comment section below. I'll see you again tomorrow.